people are. I think everybody's here. We've got just 15 seconds before the hour, so.
It's 5:30. It is 5:30.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome everyone in the gallery, in the council chambers here. Welcome to the media, Jody Summit and Tony Sikora. Glad to see you here and reporting on the actions and activities of the city. Jason, welcome to us for giving your report. I want to call the meeting to order and ask for roll call.
Anderson. Here. Fitton.
Here.
Bevel. Here. Greenside.
Here.
And Stephen Grimes in the back.
Yeah, and let's hope that we don't get what Steve got. So the agenda, are there any changes to the agenda? I have several things that I thought I might ask to change, but I'll make comments to those items as we come to them on the agenda. They're all under new business.
Well, we have to vote on accepting the agenda or not, so if there's something we're tabled or taking off, we have to do it before we accept the agenda.
Okay, I will do this one. Thank you, Kevin. Because Steve Abramson is not here, and he figures into a lot of the committees and commissions on the reorganization. We are going to have, we're moving the closed council meetings to Monday next week. Thank you, Linda, for doing that. And
hold on. Yeah, hold on. I don't have authority to move those. You would have to.
Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'd like to table the reorganization for one more week and line that out of the agenda tonight. Entertain a motion.
The next one I can do would be the next meeting, which is February 11th. I can do that one, but I can't just always drop things for a meeting whenever. I can do the regular meetings. I might be able to do a rare one here or there, but we've tried to schedule this twice now. And the attorney was scheduled to come up, her rep was scheduled to be here. There was, I mean, this is twice now that this has gotten moved. So I can do it at the next regular meeting. We can put it on there, but I can't just drop everything in to be at a meeting whenever all the time. I have a full-time job and then some, so.
Okay. Is there, I'd like to entertain a motion to table the reorganization until the next meeting.
I'll move it to February 11th.
May I ask one more question before we go? Is there any negative impact of not having reorganized duties then to the new?
There is some stuff we need to get moving along. One of the things is the signatories. Even if there's a few pages that you can at least do, and leave the other ones for later, because Steve doesn't impact all of them. So if there's some that we can get done and limited for the next time, the longer we push it, the more work we have. Every other meeting coming up soon.
Are you suggesting that we do some of the reorganization and come back to others that we cannot do tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
What specifically might be the important things that we?
Let me see. The first page you can obviously do. I think you can point back to there. The second page, I think you can get through that page. The third page, the fourth page, maybe the fifth page you would have to hold off, which is the business and economic development one, possibly. These should be, I mean, we had at the last meeting, or the reorg meeting last year, we had a council member absent, so it's not a big thing.
And I'm not opposed to putting it off a couple more weeks if that means.
Most of them I think you can get through with minimal. And I would say at least the first 4 or 5 would be helpful.
The first 4 or 5 pages?
Yes.
Okay. That's fine with me. The comments that I have, I'll make when we go through that agenda item 8.6. So then,
are you tabling 3 and 4, or are you leaving those on the agenda?
Still need a second for tabling it to February's 11th.
Oh, I'll give you the
So you're
second.
tabling the, you're
What are we tabling?
requesting?
3 and 4.
To February 11th, okay.
Correct.
And you're supporting that?
I'll support that.
Okay.
Okay, so it's been, a motion has been made and seconded to,
Discussion.
I'm trying to do that right now. The motion's been made and seconded to table the City Hall access policy. Is there any discussion?
I don't know, not E3 and E4, numbers 3 and 4.
Just 3 and 4.
But the closed meeting.
The 2 closed meetings.
Everything from.
All right, I
5
thought we were still talking, okay. That's right. So, could you repeat the,
So the motion would be to table items 3,
Mhm.
closed council meeting pursuant to statute 13B05 for employee misconduct.
okay,
And the closed meeting, number 4, for employee performance evaluation. Those 2 items will be tabled until February 11th. That would be the motion.
Yes.
And the rest of the agenda will be as
okay. Is there a second to that motion?
Yes, I said.
Okay. Is there any discussion? My discussion is that I would prefer to have them on February 4th, next Monday, so that we can get them behind us, but are you saying that you cannot do February 4th?
My schedule usually goes months in advance. I'm already looking at like summertime on some things. If it's an emergency thing, yeah, I can try and, wedge in room, but I work a lot. I'm driving for people, I'm driving for routes. I'm lucky that I was able to make today because one of our parents was willing to drive. I can't just drop things at short notice.
Yeah, I understand that, and I'm disappointed that the proposed meetings couldn't happen today as well, so I just would like to get them behind us as quickly as possible, so that's why I suggested the Monday. And from earlier discussions, I thought that next Monday would work, so.
not for, it will work, the 11th will work for my rep and for the council, legal council.
Okay,
So,
okay, any further discussion about, now, is your motion for 3 and 4?
3 and 4,
Okay.
February 11th.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor of moving the items 3 and 4 to February 11th, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You can note that I oppose. I would have preferred the 4th, but I understand I'm going to lose it. Okay. Sorry I got off track here. Thanks for being with that. Number 5, public input. Is there any public input?
I have a question.
Sure.
It's a simple question.
Michael
First,
Wood.
what? Yes.
Michael Wood.
Michael Wood. First of all, are the public people here allowed to ask questions during the council session if things are confusing, or do you basically have to observe throughout?
So the way statute works is that city government's meetings are an open meeting. That doesn't necessarily mean that it was public comment. Basically what it means is that the public is allowed to attend, and typically in a larger city you would normally see the public comment period would be very, very formal in terms of both time limited and or they would have to submit what they want to talk about in advance. Obviously here, with it being such a small town and everything, it's a lot more informal, so a lot of times we kind of take questions and answers back and forth.
And what about straight clarifying questions that aren't comments but are actually just?
Again, it is a public meeting, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the public has a right to comment all the time.
You kind of govern yourself.
It's really at the discretion of the person running the meeting.
Okay.
But there's also some things that can also be clarified after the meeting sometimes too. So
What happens if one council member is gone and you've got 4 council members and you vote on something and it's 2-2?
It would have to defeat again.
You have to have a majority.
Kevin gave a very good answer. I appreciate that, Kevin. I would only add to it that if you do have a question or something, a clarification, perhaps it's something that others have as well, just simply raise your hand and address the council chair, and he will call and make the comments brief, and we'll try to get them answered.
I don't have anyone's pending, so just so you know,
Okay.
I'm not looking.
Okay. Is there any other public input? Okay, going to number 6, correspondence, St. Louis County Emergency Management Operations Group Hazardous Mitigation Plan.
Yes, there's a copy of an email from Julie Johnson in your packet and Holly Olson. They are heading up the St. Louis County effort to adopt a new hazard mitigation plan. They just said that they'll be reaching out. There's no action needed. It's only information.
Okay. Any questions?
Mayor? After you changed the agenda, you guys kind of accepted the agenda.
I thought that's what you were going to look at the motion.
Well, I motion.
3, 4, and
I
then.
motion to table it.
Okay, let's go back and approve the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as revised?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Or so-
I'll let Rachel say.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Another question on 6.1 real quick. We're supposed to have an emergency plan, and I know we've been spending time on that for a while now. Do we have an update as to when we are going to actually get a finished one?
No, I'll get you one for the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to number 7, unfinished business, none. Under number 8, new business, 8.1, the EDA loan guidelines. My comment here is that I suggest that we pass this item on to the Tower Economic Development Authority Board. I have talked to the chair several times, and they will put together a recommendation for loans that are administrated by TIDA for the city, and will make those recommendations available to the city and the city council for approval.
That's all well and great, but they can't resolve the issue. That's the reason this is on the agenda. The reason this is on the agenda is because it has been alleged twice, once to a supervisor, once in the newspaper, and this council needs to look at the evidence and once and for all decide if these documents were changed. We can't have this as an open item. We can't have this as a possible, I don't know what you want to call it, rumor going around, but it needs to be solved. Most importantly, I think everybody here was at the meeting where I went through this the first time. So I'll try to cut it short. I can show you the draft loan guidelines that were presented to TIDA that have the wording in question in it. That draft came from me, drafted by me. I can show you where the minutes were, that they were approved without any changes. I can show you the TIDA President's report, also saying the same thing, that the guidelines were approved. And then this is where, and I don't know how anybody in their right mind would say that this is wrong. This council packet, sorry, Rachel? And then you guys can share one. First, Steve, you already have this from before. This is the council packet from April 24th. This is the exact packet that is scanned into our server system. I showed you in your packet a copy of the server page, which shows when this document was saved, how many pages there are included in the document. And the guidelines that are in question are in that document. They were saved in April of 17. The council in 2017 was given that packet. I have no control over changing that packet after it's been scanned in. I don't scan it in, that is Terry's responsibility. The second time, we not only went through this once with the council, fortunately for my sake, we did it again at the very next council meeting, which was May 8th, coming down your way again, right? This council packet also has the same guidelines with the proper wording in there. And it was also scanned into the city's file server on 5/10. It's dated 2017. I can't change the packet. I can't change the dates. I can't time travel. I don't know how else. This is undeniable, unrefutable proof that these guidelines were not changed. And I would like the city council that is here tonight to make that a motion that they agree, so that we can put this issue to bed once and for all. So that's why I'm saying that Tita can't help with this.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Michael?
When you say scan, Linda, do you do like a graphic scan, so that it's no longer text, it's actually an image?
It's a PDF file. The books are taken apart and turned into a single page documents or and then they're scanned into our server.
And then those PDFs would show any evidence that you've changed, right?
Right, there's a date stamp on the file, which shows when it was scanned. They're all dated 2017, so unless I'm able to time travel and go back in time and fix dates, that is a packet that is presented. Those are the guidelines that were approved. Whether you don't like the guidelines, that's a whole different animal. But those are the guidelines that were approved, and that's not what was alleged. And I don't, at the last meeting there was some controversy over, this was just an email between two dudes or two bugs or whatever. You don't throw out allegations like that. You can't just, a card laid is a card played. So I guess I'm asking for this council to stand up for your clerk and say that these are the guidelines that were approved. Whether you like them or not, you can vote to change them. But these are what was approved. And this whole I changed them thing is a dead issue.
So, if this were the case, where do you think the disconnect has occurred?
Where I think the disconnect occurred is that after all of these were done, what started this was the loan, and then it was Tina needed to go ahead and get them done. We did them, we uploaded them, the council approved them, we uploaded them to the IRRB, we started giving out funds based on these. And then at the June 1st meeting, unfortunately, I was in Florida, fortunately I was, and I don't remember where Terry was, but no city staff was available to attend the TITA meeting that was held that night. So no one kept minutes, and it is my suspicion that at that meeting, the chairman of TITA, after already being approved, tried to go back and revamp them and redo them. If that was the case, that was, I guess, fine for TITA to do that, but they should have kept minutes, and they should have asked for the council to then reapprove them, but you did not. It stopped as of 5/22.
So what I'm hearing is, that's something that certainly I don't think we as a council could comment on, is what was done after the fact and not
Right.
documented. But what you're looking for is to say that what's here is true,
Right.
and nothing's been altered or modified.
Correct. Exactly correct. I know Britain is going through a vote of no confidence, or just went through one. I guess this would be a vote of confidence.
Okay, is there a motion to accept Linda's, did you make a motion, or?
No, I don't have the authority. I'm asking
people to make a motion,
Yes.
so I entertain a motion to that effect.
Well, I can't see anything that proves it otherwise. and
Yeah, I've looked at these
unless-
documents
Unless
before.
we
and-
have minutes from that other meeting,
Yeah.
we don't know for sure, and if there's no minutes, then the meeting essentially didn't happen. So if they want to work on drafting a new set of guidelines and moving forward and providing it to the council, that would be one thing. But as of right now, that is the current set. So I would say that it is true. So I'm fine with passing a motion saying that, yes, this is the current set as of right now.
Any further discussion or
Would you
questions?
support?
I will support.
Okay. We'll take a vote, but in quickly paging through here, I see that there's a letter included from me, and there's also one that I think is from Mark Springstead, and so I'll be abstaining from the vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed?
One abstention.
Thank you.
Okay,
That's all I have.
8.2, Welsh North 3rd Street alley easement.
Okay, what this is there's a piece of property on the north hill here that was owned by the Emmanuel Lutheran Church. I've given you a couple of maps in your packet, one the area view and then one a certificate of survey. The church has decided to sell this property. Thankfully, in their wisdom, they told the buyer that he had to clear with the city of Tower the fact that over time the alley behind the 500 block of Northford is actually moved to the north, and that we've also constructed a ATV walking, hiking, whatever multi-modal trail, and those go through that parcel that the church sold. So one of their conditions of the sale was that the new owner establish easements with the city of Tower. I had SEH look over the legal descriptions. If you look at the actual lease in your, or easement in your packet, it's this degrees by this degrees, and so they have verified that this is the right, those degrees match up to the right location here. And I did also float this past the city attorney, and he agrees that this is, the easement is in good form, and that his only caution was that we know that we are maintaining that alley, that the owner of this parcel is not maintaining it, and I think that would be our expectation.
Has there been any talk of trying to eventually fix that easement to where the alley goes where it's supposed to eventually?
I know on the east end of the block there's ledge rock that would be preventing that.
Okay.
And then on the west end, there's actually that garage in there, so I don't know how we would. I think the alley is gonna be forever relocated.
On that. Are people prevented then, since that technically is not their land, because there's a couple garages on it, from ever rebuilding on it?
No, those people that have those garages, the church also instructed that this buyer get easements or something going on with those three people that have garages.
Okay. So if somebody's garage fell down there,
Mhm.
they have the right to rebuild it in that same location? Because they'd have to get a building permit and whatever.
I've not
That's
seen their easement, so I don't know what it says. I couldn't
Okay.
attest to that. But there are three private properties that have parcels that are affected by this sale. And the church wanted the city plus those three property owners to be held whole. They didn't want their sale to be that.
Question.
Sure. Sheldon.
If my memory serves me right, that property was on the south side of the present road, was bought by the three parties. So you should probably look into that one.
The old alley was bought by the three people?
The south of the present alley, that land was bought by,
So you're saying-
Yeah, and it looks like it because it is carved out on Land Explorer with property lines.
and one of the ones, who's got a big garage back there, is Sonny.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah,
And that's what they did.
yeah, his is, you can see it here.
Yeah, here it looks like 4, here it looks like 3. 1, 2, 3.
I'm assuming these are their property lines, these white, so that's Sunny.
Yeah, this is where the alley should go.
Yeah, and this
Like
is,
you said, it can't here, and here, this is all red here too.
yeah, so now this is their, she has two parcels, this parcel plus this one, that's those two. And then this is all one,
Yeah.
or this is, yeah.
all you
it's all
got was the
one,
last
so-
of the lot.
I actually didn't have that part, so I don't know what this, but I can see right here. Right here, there's this one. Okay, well, if that'll keep coming up, but I'm not sure feel about that. So those are, those pieces, those exceptions have actually been bought.
Yes, that's why they have little parcel lines around.
So then we just have to approve that they're being used.
Yes. And this agreement, which says that you'll maintain it.
I'm fine with making that motion to approve the easement and that the city is responsible for maintaining clearance of the alleyway.
Second.
Support?
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. It's unanimous then. Okay, 8.3 on City Hall access policy. Linda, you have written a policy for access to the City Hall.
Yeah, there's a draft policy in your packet. Any questions, amendments?
There's some questions. I know that I think Steve, the ambulance department keeps records up here. Is that true?
Yeah, there's our patient information and stuff in the clerk's office area, yes.
Okay, but that's separately locked. It's got its own file
No.
cabinets.
It's in a cabinet, it's not.
Some of it's in a cabinet, some of it's on our desk.
Some of it would be, some personnel stuff is just in the back room in storage because we have to maintain records, employee records for 30 years after retirement. So there's a bunch of personal information in there.
And how is that secured?
By the office being locked.
Is there a
Unless it's-
facility where that could be under lock and key? And I'm also thinking that any personnel records or ambulance records that they probably shouldn't be laying around for people to see, because there are people up here even during office hours.
Yeah, they're not out in the open, they're just all city employees. It's not just ambulance, it would be all fire and all records. The back room has boxes of stuff. It's not out in the open, but it's accessible to anybody that would go back in that room
Our
and
workstations are accessible, our desks are accessible, our cabinetry is accessible.
basically the only security of the office, I guess, is when the office is locked up.
It seems to me that that could be added to this, that all personnel and any kind of personal information like ambulance patient information should be under lock and key, and a separate lock and key like its own cabinet. It just seems prudent.
I mean, some of that, I don't know, because the stuff that's in the back room, that's not my area.
Most of what's in the back room is historical stuff, it's the day-to-day stuff that would be on our desks, in our desks, in our work baskets. It's not open for the public to see. There isn't any general public hanging around our desks either, and if there was, we would turn the stuff over. We do have separate cabinets for as much as we do, but we don't have keys for all of them.
Well, that'd also be something that would fall under a data privacy policy or something, not under a key access policy. There is one thing I would like to amend to this is I would like to get a number 8 on this. Something to the effect of individuals would need to demonstrate need to apply for access. At least in the educational world, the way that we work with data privacy is that there has to be a shown need. So like what I would give you as an example is say you have a teacher who has students that needs access to a student that they have. That's a demonstrated need that to have access to those files because they have that student, but that doesn't mean that they can request access on any student in the school if they don't have them. That doesn't show a need, that they can't just go looking for any name whatsoever because they want to. I think this would apply here as well, as basically, is there a demonstrated need in order to have access access in the first place. And I think that helps clear up what the paragraph that's underneath here, where it says the clerk treasurer has the authority to issue all access, recall all access, and may confiscate keys found to be in possession of individuals not in compliance with the policy. By adding that, you would basically say this is the criteria for granting in the first place. So that's the recommendation I would make.
I also don't, in reference to the ambulance or fire, I don't have, once that stuff is up here, I don't have access or any need to access, because it's not, now it's no longer under my control. So I don't, we have our own servers and stuff that, and so all that, you know, once it's up here, it's not, I have to go through the clerks to access the stuff. Even if it's not locked up, I don't have permission just to walk over, open a drawer and start thumbing through. Whether I've seen it or not, or have access to that same information, but I don't have access to the necessary, I don't have access to employee files. I know my employee files, but I don't have access to anybody, the other city's employee files. So even if I need something or need to verify something, I have to go through the clerks to get that. I don't just have permission to come up here and start rummaging through stuff. This is not my office, so.
We have a similar procedure at the school.
Yeah, I mean, I have access to what I'm allowed to have access to, and that's it.
So I'm hearing two kind of issues, kind of access in general to City Hall, to that office, and access to the files held within. So I think there's kind of two questions of access and how that's regulated.
And that's true, and that's why I brought this up. I really feel that any kind of personnel files or files that are pertinent to patient confidentiality should be under separate lock and key, and if there aren't cabinets that are available to lock that kind of information up, I think we should require them.
In an ideal world, I would agree. I think we're going to have problems with the layout of this office, and it's not like we have a really separate records room that's going to fit very well in terms of fitting cabinets. I agree that it should all,
Yeah, I agree that it
except for
probably should.
obviously the day-to-day right then and there. But the problem is we also have compromises of this building in terms of the layout and what can fit where. We have similar issues at the school in terms of we only have X amount of record space. And so we have a similar issue, is that I can only lock things up in certain places. So if there was a separate office where there was room to lock up all of those things, that would be great. But we only have that room and the room in the back, and that's really about it. Unless we
Yes.
want to build a different office.
I'm John Burgess, HR from Amy Taconite, work over there. But I don't know why you couldn't build a wall on that back wall out there, for a small fee with a one door going into that, and that all the personnel files, all your back history stuff is all backed up there.
It isn't just the history, though, it's the day-to-day stuff, too.
Well, you got a door to open up in and out, and that keeps everybody.
And that's the door to our office.
What's that?
That's the door to our office.
The one way in the back?
No, what we do with our daily work that we're using on a regular basis, there's the historical data that gets boxed and put back there.
Right, and that's
But
where
there's
that
also
stuff
the
is.
daily work that we have.
Well,
that
that's
has
time you have to
data.
move anything that's off your desk and go back to the history stuff back there. But that eliminates all your personnel stuff from the fire department.
That would work, although it would be time consuming every day. You're hauling your stuff out and hauling your stuff back.
Not the daily stuff like that.
But you can't have that on your desk either.
Sure you can.
No, I can't. Not if I-
Anything that's personnel files, anything with social security numbers,
Yeah,
any
but it's
kind of
bigger than,
history,
we have
that's
ambulance.
what the question is going back there.
No, it's bigger than that, though, because we have ambulance, yes it is, we have ambulance work that we use on a daily basis that has protected health
Then
information.
you need to put a file cabinet lock next to your door.
We
next to your
do
desk.
have a file cabinet, but we go, that's what I'm saying, it's not really efficient. The efficient way is to secure the office.
There's a lot of inefficiencies here in this
Well,
office.
we're trying to cut them back.
But we're trying to.
Michael?
I've worked in corporate and healthcare, and the typical practice there is to have lockable file cabinets or a room for stuff that's not used so often. And then you have to have the discipline around what's on your desk. because it's just not appropriate to have it out where people can see it. So you come up with some kind of way to do that, whether it means you have to go back and forth to the office, or it means you've got something in like a lockable drawer and that's what it takes. 'Cause it's just-
I like the way this is written. I think it's good the way of policy, and just by scanning it now, I just saw this, minutes ago, but from what I see is all the things that are appropriate. I feel pretty strongly that we should explore the possibility, for example, like John suggests, having a wall and a door back there, so it's lockable, and then both the daily and the historic stuff stay in that room. That way, anyone that does come in doesn't have the opportunity to review personal information. So there's actually two suggestions to be added on here. One is Kevin's show proof of need for access, and then number 9 would be to secure all personnel data in a separate room under lock and key, so that there isn't any accidental exposure. And I would recommend that be added to.
That's something you want to put in a data privacy separate from it, otherwise you're going to end up with one thing that doesn't fall under there versus others. This is something that we run into issues with the planning and zoning ordinances, is that somebody drops an ordinance in the middle of somewhere that has nothing to do with the rest of it. But to make that a second item in terms of to look at the city's data retention policies in general and add that into that would be appropriate, because it would fall under
If the number 9 that I mentioned, providing separate secure facilities should fall under a different policy, that would be fine with me. It serves the same purpose, that anyone that does have a key for up here will not have access and will not have a key for that room, even though it's described under that policy. So that would be fine. I think that would accommodate the request or the need.
So we would need one motion to approve adding, demonstrating a need to apply for access, and we need a second motion that by the next meeting, we look at a revision of the data retention policy to include making sure that private data is kept under secure access. Obviously, you don't have that in front of you right now, which is why I'm saying next meeting. So I'm fine with making that a motion between the two of those.
Okay. But you're making 2 motions?
Yeah, one would be for
So-
adding an 8th item, which is individual would need to demonstrate need to apply for access, and the subset of that obviously being to approve this key access policy. And then motion number 2 would be to bring up the data part for the next time.
Okay. So does everyone understand the first motion? Okay. Is there support?
Support.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor of adding that to the access policy, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And then the second motion, Kevin?
Second motion would be by the next council meeting, let's look at a draft that includes ensuring that all private data items are secured. Obviously, we can work with the wording as necessary based on what's already, because I haven't looked at the data retention policy personally. So,
So that's a motion to have a draft of the data retention policy that includes the
yeah, to have it
verbiage
updated and
about
revised.
that.
Support?
Support.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I think that we need an overall motion to accept this with the revision.
That was your first.
Was that included?
Yeah.
Was that included? Okay. Okay, city administrative guidelines. That's an item that I asked to have put on the agenda. I have concerns about receiving the agenda on the weekend before the meeting, and also reports. I've seen time and again counselors coming in and having just minutes to read the reports in the report book before the meeting, and there's a great possibility that they're entering the meeting not prepared. And then the other thing that I've always been concerned with any other organization that I've been involved with is that minutes be created as quickly as possible following the conclusion of the meeting, so that it's fresh in the mind of the person that's doing the minutes. And then secondly, have them distributed to the council or the group that's having the meeting, so that it's fresh in their mind when they read the minutes and can immediately comment. I've done a little research on this. I've talked to previous clerk treasurers, and I understand that in 2010, 11, or 12, sometime in that time period, there were city administrative guidelines for these things approved. I looked in on the website, and the minutes for half of the year of, I might be slightly wrong here, but half of the year of 2010, part of the year of 2011 are missing, and it was during that time frame that these were approved. I would suggest that for city administrative guidelines for these things that I feel are very important for the smooth operation of the council, that we look back on those minutes that are not out on the website, see if we can find them and find the approved guidelines from several years ago. And if they are still valid, there is technology and other things that have changed, but if they still serve the purpose, then I think we should start following those earlier produced guidelines.
If they are really buried in the minutes, we have no such guidelines.
Mm-hmm. I'd be happy to go through the minutes. I've gone through the minutes that are out there, but of course the ones that were missing in those years I wasn't able to review.
What clerk did you talk to?
I talked to Anna.
Okay. Yeah, I don't.
And they were actually enacted during Tim Kotzian's tenure as clerk treasurer.
This has never come up before, but we can certainly.
Yeah, and as I say, it can be time consuming going through minutes like that, so I'd be glad to do that. At the same time, might be good to take those minutes. Are they also scanned in? Wouldn't hurt to have those out on the website.
They're not scanned.
Are there other cities who've enacted such guidelines that you're aware of?
Yes, there are. And other cities that I've talked to, other individuals that I've talked to have said that they do have such guidelines. And those guidelines were followed through the tenure of the previous clerk treasurer and
Great, I'm at the same time as mine, so I'm not sure she would want to train me in, so our timing is no different.
Okay. Yeah, that.
She didn't take the minutes, so I'm not sure what she would know.
All I know is what she, the information.
Yeah,
that
we'll
she
have to look and see what's in the minutes.
Mhm.
We'll have to make something for the next meeting.
Okay. Can we go with that by acclamation, or do you, it's not actually approving city administrative guidelines, it's searching for guidelines that have already been approved, so if necessary, to entertain a motion to accept, otherwise by acclamations, you're going to do that, Linda?
Yeah, I would, we can move the table to the next meeting, is that the motion?
I don't really see a need for a motion to begin with,
No.
you just have a full document.
Well, that's my point, Kevin.
I'll just put it on the next agenda. and I'll find out what we did in the meantime.
Okay. It's 8.5 city website and technical support. I believe that we've been using the same website and technical support service for how many years? About 6 or 7 years now.
Let's see, we're in 2013.
And I think that that is a service that should be bid out periodically to see what is new and what ideas people have for making the Tower City website more effective. I think that personally, I think that it could be there could be some more PR and maybe a little livelier, and then also to make sure that the minutes from the various meetings are put out there as quickly as possible so they're available to the public.
That's not them that does that, we do that here.
Okay.
And as I told you before we walked in here, we are under contract for the website too. And it also is the Hulu site that goes along with this and the Hulu software are all part of this.
Okay, I think that that's something that can be added to the reorganization, and on a if it's a 3-year basis, we can do that. But I do think it's something that should be reviewed.
If there's anything anybody wants to see on that website, they should just send it to us. Or if there's something that we don't think looks quite right, that's up to us to update it.
You know how long our contract is with
I just
the
signed
city
it.
website?
Another 3 years.
Oh.
Does that did that come before the council?
I'm pretty sure we talked about it. I could go back, I'd have to look at the meeting, I don't know which one it was, but.
If it was like this 3 months ago, it's probably fairly easy to find.
Yeah.
15 minutes. If you would do that, Linda, I'd appreciate it.
So do they give us the option of updating the website? Like, can we use that contractor
We
to,
can do that at any time, we don't need him.
or even to like
If we
change
want.
the layout of the website?
Yeah, we can always ask him, we have some service dollars, so I kind of tell them all as,
Sure.
I know I use a bunch getting the new email set up, so.
Yeah, I'd kind of like to see our website
Snazzy.
a little snazzier. My husband designs websites and stuff. We always look at it, oh, like, the things we could do with it.
Yeah, if anybody
You
has
know,
anything that.
for info and, you know,
Yeah.
just making it fresh.
Well, I think
Just a question, what's the technology that's being used for the website? Is it WordPress or something? Or is it?
And, you know,
Don't know what's on it.
probably.
I don't see that part of it.
But it sounded like you said you can make changes yourself.
Yeah, we can add pictures, we can add text, we can add documents, we can, well, the
Change
only
the
thing we can't do
design,
is add like sections, pages.
well, the other thing, I had an experience where I had a problem getting into the new email that I use, the city email. And I have some experience with that because I administrate through Exchange Service myself. And so that's something that I think that we should review. Technology there changes as well. I think Michael would also agree with that. And so it would be good to know what sort of technology is used, what sort of security is used or employed regarding password security and that sort of thing.
So typically what you would do is in a bidding process, you put out an RFP or something similar in terms of this is what we're looking for inspecting, and then you would see what the bids come back with as in terms of like there's any special requirements or anything of that sort. In terms of actually updating content and other things on the website, having been in a similar position with the school, the biggest thing that I have personally run into with that is a lot of people love to see a lot of new stuff up, but when you turn around and say, okay, well, who's going to write the content of it, that's where people suddenly go, oh. Because I had a parent at one time that was like, oh yeah, things should be updated there more frequently and this and that. I said, hey, if you want to write content, I'd be more than willing to put it up. Never heard back from the person again. It takes time. It's a lot of time, and when you're running a small office, you don't always have time to spend as much time with them as you want to. So that'd be another factor, is to figure that anything that we're not doing here in the office is something that we're gonna have to pay time for. And that's probably the limitation that we're running into, is that they're not gonna do work without getting paid for it. Just like we have limited hours, they have limited hours too. So, that's just another factor to factor in. Is, yeah, it'd be great to have a real whiz-bang, oh, that's an old term, whiz-bang website, but, talking about a rocking chair, no.
The other thing too with the website, I know we get a lot of questions about this, is putting up like contacts for local, say carpenters or whatever, which is something that we can't. Then we're favoring one over the other, and as a city, we need state neutral. So I know there's some misconception about what we can have on there and what we can't.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. When I looked the last time, by the way, the new city council is still in the.
I'm waiting for the reorg, because all the councils have all their commission positions underneath, so I was going to do that all at one time.
Okay. So, then there isn't, is there a motion that someone
No, I didn't
entertain for that?
actually,
Okay. So 8.6, the reorganization. So we're going to do what we can with the reorganization. Okay. Page 1 is the City Council 2019, Mayor Orland Springstead. Acting Mayor, I'm recommending Steve Abramson because of his long experience as having been mayor in the past. Steve Abramson, as Councilor Kevin Clifton, and Brooke Anderson and Rachel Delville. Those are my recommendations. I believe that there's a motion to approve and second for each one of these. Okay. So I'd entertain a motion for acceptance. Since I'm
make me about that is his attendance on planning and zoning has been spotty at best. And if you're not here, that must be something that's pretty generally always here. But it's only whether I'm here.
Yeah, I've talked to Steve, and he said he would be pleased to have that position, and he has the experience. So, but as a recommendation, I think all I need is support for the recommendation for the motion.
You need one of them to make a recommendation, a motion on the support. Or you need two of them.
Is there a motion for support for?
Just select Steve Abramson and Dr. Mayor.
Okay. And support? Okay, hearing none, that one we'll have to come back to.
There's somebody wanting to-
Well, I'd like to make the motion to keep everything as is, keeping Kevin as the acting mayor. I think he's done a really good job with that in the last year that he's been.
Okay. So is there support? Hearing none.
So,
I think we have,
can there be discussion here?
Sure.
Kind of a sticky wicket, you know, just as far as I'm not opposed to either gentleman serving as acting mayor. But I already made a motion supporting Steve. But I also don't have a problem or supporting Brooke's motion for Kevin.
Okay.
Maybe both of those things? Okay?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Sorry, do you want to support that?
Yep, support.
Okay.
yeah. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay.
Abstain.
Okay. Motion carries.
Okay, for city attorney, can,
Okay.
okay.
don't have to stop anything, thank you.
City attorney Andy Peterson,
Yes.
I recommend that we stay with Andy.
Motion to continue.
Well, we go down this whole page.
Okay.
Yeah.
Christopher Verda, or Freiberger, yeah, Christopher Verda, Freiberger, Buchanan, Smith, and Frederick for the city attorney bonds and development. I recommend no change.
Fine with this whole list, except for obviously the check signatories would have to be updated.
Yeah, we move on anyway, so.
Yeah, so everything on this right from the list I'm front with.
Yeah, the gray side, I should have.
Yeah,
that's
gray is the
correct.
whole-
Shows them all, yeah.
Okay, and then the final one, official newspaper has already been determined, that's Sterling News.
Yeah.
So we need a motion to approve this list, so I'm fine with moving them.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, the City of Tower reorganization. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
City of Tower reorganization, the Charter Commission, we have Julie Johnson, Randy.
Well, we got, reimbursement.
Should have what says reimbursement. It should be on this one. Maybe dig down through the file, maybe.
Okay, 2019 reimbursement rates, there shows no change from 2018.
And that is the current federal mileage data, so.
Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Support?
Support.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yes. The 2019 Charter Commission, is that in order?
Sure.
So we have Julie Johnson, Randy Johnson, Jody Reichenberger, Steve Altenberg, Dina Zwickenen, and in the one open position, I have Mary Shedd.
And Sheldon. This moved wrong, did I?
Right, he's the last one, Sheldon. Entertain a motion to accept.
The Charter Commission, I believe, has to send a candidate to you for your approval to send to the judge to decide whether or not that's a lifetime appointment, or unless you move away. And the
When's the next time the Charter Commission meets?
They would have to call, their scheduled meeting is the fourth Wednesday of February.
Not sure about that.
the reason is because the charter supersedes the council.
I think this might be one of the items in the reorganization that wouldn't affect any city business or going on if it's not addressed right now.
Right, we could,
Maybe wait on this one.
yeah.
I did look that up, and it said, commission members, terms and vacancies. Charter commission members shall hold office for the term of 4 years and until their successors are appointed and qualified, except that of members initially appointed after July 1st, 1967, 8 shall be appointed for 2-year terms and 7 for 4-year terms. And this is from the state statute regarding charter commissions, 410.05. So It actually says by state statute that it's 4-year terms.
It is, but then it's the appointment process too, that's different. I think that goes on, I've read that too. And it's when you get to the actual appointing.
You actually can't even retire off the charter commission. The only way to get off of it is if you die or move away. It is a lifetime appointment, and that's why a judge makes the
That's what, yeah,
determination.
that's what I always say.
What is the 4-year term then?
That I don't know. All I know is that because the charter supersedes the city doesn't get to put who they want in there. The charter commission, and Sheldon is on the
But
charter.
I, just one thing, I think you can quit. I'd have to disagree with Steve.
I think you can for certain, you have to give pause.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't just get for
Be like,
no
well,
reason go, well, I just
you
quit
gotta
because I don't want to. It's supposed to be a lifetime appointment, so when you accept it, that's what you're accepting.
So
I've never read any place where it's a lifetime appointment, Steve.
You can just make a motion to send.
That's what I was told.
Regardless, you could send you could make a motion to send this to the charter commission, and if Mary would like to apply, she should go to the meeting.
Yeah, I wouldn't stop her from
Yeah, 'cause I'm
applying.
okay with
Yeah.
either, just so we do it right.
But can we find out if that stuff
Yeah, we
is
could.
like
Yes,
right?
table.
Yeah, kind of like to know.
so we'll table till and send it to the charter commission.
I'm fine with that, the motion, table those position until we can answer back on that.
Support.
Yeah.
Discussion.
Hmm?
Discussion.
Yeah, it's their support first.
Oh, I thought you were saying.
No, I was asking.
Oh.
Support.
Okay, is there any discussion?
Okay.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah, we need some.
The next one is the Tower Economic Development Authority. And this one confused me somewhat because as I began reviewing the Tower Economic Development Authority, the term dates that are listed here are different from the term dates that are listed on the approved minutes on the website. And they just don't jive. I have put in names here, but I'm somewhat reluctant to lock that in until we know exactly what happened.
We had to adjust the terms, I know.
We had some changes.
Yeah, we had so many departures,
Yeah, over the last few years I've been on it.
and then with and then we had some of them that were wrong with coinciding when the counselors were done. We had them getting off before they were off for their term or something to that effect. So we had to true up, but those are the terms. There's 2 and 19, and you can see there's 2 and 19, 2 and 20, 11, 21, and then 2 and 22. You could change one of those to 21 if you wanted, and leave only 1 and 22. But the rest of them would have to stay how they are.
So most plans, it has to be said.
Yeah, we don't want the whole commission hearing over. And when there is the dates, it's always through the end of that hearing on the meeting.
Yeah, I understand that. I still have a concern. This is one that I'd like to set aside and come back to.
Well, you got a name, spell them in.
I can do that. Now, I should also make a point that I haven't spoken directly with each one of these individuals. Some of them are here. But I can name off who I have listed. Rachel Beldo for the 2022 term, council rep. Brooke Anderson is already on there for 2020. For resident, Richard Hansen, 2019. Secretary is Terry. Business owner and or resident, I have Marshall Helmberger, 2022. At large, Steve Peterson Sr., 2021. Resident Joan Broughton, 2019, and business owner and or resident Steve Wilson, 2020. Do you want to do just that one, or do you want to do the entire page?
We only have have one missing for the next one. What do you have for that one?
I have, for the storefront loan committee, I have Rachel Wancia.
And is that one of the committees that meets during, between 8 and 5?
Yes.
So I'm concerned about my availability. Is it a consistent, does it say on here?
No, it's not as needed.
Yes, okay. I think I do.
All over the board, it's whenever we can get all of these parties together. So you need two members.
So I mean, I'm happy to, I think if I have ample notice of in the hours needed.
So if someone is on a committee or commission and it's just not working out for them time-wise, they can resign and it can be a new appointee. That always been done in the past.
Even as a council person?
No. You agree? Okay. So that's for Tita.
I can agree with most of these, but I can't agree with
Most,
Marshall on
yeah,
that.
but-
Because under the last council, he was removed for cause from TIA, so I can't support that one.
I think we should probably not have anybody that deals with the media, like maybe on some of these committees. I think it's almost like a conflict of interest.
So I
We've had
can support the
problems with
rest,
that.
but I
Yeah.
can't support Marshall beyond.
For,
Otherwise I'll have to vote no.
You, I don't recall what cause. I was at that meeting and I don't remember a cause. It was specifically noted.
Well, I do know that some of the concerns were calls that he was making to the MPCA while he was chairman of TIGA, basically because he wasn't agreeing with some of the city's positions. And I know that he wasn't using the TIGA email address, which is, he was using his personal email address instead, which is a violation of data practices. And just general attitude with how he was acting with the rest of the city council. And eventually it came to a point where it was obvious that it was not representing the city's interest, it was representing his own interests of it. Whoever's on the city committees have to help represent the city interest, not their own personal interests. And so Mayor Carlson decided to put it before the council to remove Marshall from TIGA, and the rest of the council agreed. So at least in that regard, I can't see somehow voting for agreeing to that and then, you know, a year later agreeing to reverse right in the opposite direction.
The reason I put Marshall on there is that during his time both with TITA and with the Tower Sedan CDC group that he put together, he worked on very hard at putting together a daycare, even though it didn't take, and a number of other issues that he worked very hard on developing as chair of TITA. And he was pretty passionate about the position. When I talked to him about coming on to TITA, he said he wouldn't want to chair, but he would certainly want to be involved. And that's why I put him on. I guess my question is, was due process followed when he was dropped? In other words, was he given an opportunity to make his case for not being dropped?
Well, there isn't really a due process thing for city committees because it's on a volunteering basis. It's not, you're not paid for it, you're not an employee. So those kind of labor due process things usually aren't quite the process. It's at the pleasure of the council essentially. And so basically it burned enough bridges with enough council members that everyone was like, okay, well, enough's enough of that. So again, as before, I mean, this is pretty much a hard thing for me is I cannot vote yes on that. There is no argument you can come up with that I will vote yes on that. Because we had originally as a council taken him off for cause. So I would suggest another recommendation is what I would suggest. I'm fine with the rest of the list, but that's the one that I can't support.
Would it be prudent to table this for the time being?
You could move all those and leave that one open and have to go back to the next meeting for that.
Yeah, you could just,
You could slide in the ones you agree to and leave the one with them.
I'm fine with approving the list minus Marshall as a candidate. So I'm fine with moving that.
Okay.
I will support that motion.
Do I need to abstain since I'm on the
No,
list?
you're not profiting from it financially.
Then,
I'm signing yourself up for more meetings. Tuesday, Tia was, no, Brooke did.
Oh, Brooke,
Yep.
okay.
Tia did meet, and I don't know when Tia itself reorgs, you can pick a different night, but it was the first Thursday at 6, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's normally like the first
But
Thursday.
you could move it if you had approved then.
Yeah, sometimes we would decide to move it to a different if it just didn't work for everybody.
Okay, so the motion is, Linda, would you read the motion?
The motion, it would be to put Counselor Delgado for a term of 2022, Citizen Hanson for a term of 2019, Citizen Wilson for a term of 2020, and Counselor Delgado to the loan committee fund. Leaving one open position.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. The Gunderson Trust, I also found very confusing, people going on and off. There's only one open position that's shown for the Gunderson Trust, and I put myself in that position.
That's fine.
But I want to make a note that this is another one where the dates. Now, is there a term for individuals on the Gunderson Trust, serving on the Gunderson Trust?
I look at the trust guidelines, but I don't remember how it's set up off the top of my head.
Sheldon, do you know, are there terms, specific terms?
I really don't know offhand, but there would be a term because, well, actually, there should be two off the council that should be on it. And then there's two, I believe, from off the forestry board. That's what, 4? And then there's 3 at large. And then we have one person that could be in, we call it the trade area, which would be Greenwood, Vermillion Lake, Kugler.
I got something totally different. I got 3 residents, 1 at large, 2 forestry board, and 1 council rep.
It doesn't work out to 7 though.
I'm pretty sure it does.
All 7 here.
Yeah. 1, 2,
Well, then why did we have Lance and,
3. 3
And-
residents,
pardon?
3 residents.
No, wait a minute, let's go back to my question. Why did Lance and the mayor serve on the Gunderson Trust?
Because the mayor is on as a resident, not as a councilor, or a council member, I should say.
Well,
Lance-
my
Lance-
mind is that there was 2 councilors and 3 residents.
One of them happened to be a member of the council, but they were not representing the council.
Well, I was never told that.
Yeah, I don't-
On the gray side,
You are right, though, Lance and Josh were both on, but not on as members of the council. Josh was put on as a resident of the city of Talbot. And the 3 residents are Josh Carlson, Mike Larson, and Jesse Varner.
that should probably be avoided in general, because you have 3 out of 5, so you have a quorum on the council.
If I pay Larson during the forestry board,
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
that's how we got there.
Yeah, him and Brooke are the forestry board members. Because you're also on there.
So there's a change from 2018 to 2019. Valerie is listed.
Yeah, she asked me, she was wanting to make a meeting with her, with small children.
So I'm fine with moving, putting Berlin on as the council rep position.
Okay, you moving that?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Planning and zoning. This was another one that where the dates didn't jive with what was in the minutes.
I see that the ones that are out there were expired, so we moved them to the new. Because I had 17 on there, which that was already over last year.
Okay, but were they appointed last year or?
All except for Jolene because she filled the vacancy.
I need to ask Kevin, are two of these individuals direct reports to you at the school?
They work at the school, yes, but they weren't chosen because they worked there. All planning and zoning members were looking for people to join planning and zoning for months. We had several openings. Abrahamson was actually one of them too, because we only had 3 people at the time on the commission. And so we were looking for anybody and everybody. I was asking my neighbors, I asked pretty much anybody that I thought would be a good candidate.
I think Steve Abrahamson filled the afternoon seat, if I remember correctly. I'm not waiting for Victoria Lamoche.
Jeff Hill didn't make it past the first meeting. He
Oh, the council removed him.
Well, no, he left. He left at the middle of the
I
meeting.
mean, but officially
Yeah.
removed him.
But then he stopped showing up, and after that point,
And then Steve didn't agree.
and the fact that you're even bringing that up makes me think that you're reading the newspaper, which I can't believe the newspaper even put that in there, because there is no conflict, there is no direct benefit, and there was no conflict of interest to that part, so that was kind of a low blow part, both on your part and the paper's part.
I didn't read the
So,
paper.
well, it was very clearly listed in there on an article that absolutely had nothing to do with planning and zoning. So I actually really do kind of take exception to that, so just so you're aware.
Mr. Mayor, jumping back,
Sir.
I'm reading from the initial fact finding. The city council of the city of Tower shall make recommendation to the court proposed trustees. The trustees shall be from the following areas: 2 of the city council of the city of Tower, 2 members of the forestry board, and 3 members at large. Trustees must be 18 years of age. 6 trustees shall be residents of the city of Tower. 1 can be a resident of the trade area.
Well, we do need that, because we do have 2 councilors.
What's that?
We do have 2 councilors.
I thought you said she was from the forestry board.
Well, she's also on the forestry board as well.
Well, then we got an open spot.
We don't have any more spots.
Sheldon, are you saying that an individual cannot?
I'm not saying that to her, but I'm just reading you from what in 1991, that the lawyer did this, and then we agreed on it.
And I also thought that was changed in that second set that was adopted in like
Well,
2001.
do you have a copy of it?
I said that I would get them.
So what I'm hearing is Sheldon is noting that Brooke is on the Gunderson Trust both as a member of the forestry board and as a city councilor. Is that?
That would sound like Steve,
But see, I'm also a member of the forestry board, coming off the forestry board.
but you are a member to the trust from the forestry board.
Yeah. And then Brooke is,
Also a member of the trust from the forestry board and the council rep.
but I'm just reading what the lawyer wrote.
Right, and that's what she just proposed, is to take that into consideration and just make that one amendment saying that it's council rep and forestry board. Just to agree with what you have there.
Personally, I'd like to have 2 counselors sitting on there
You will.
in that open position. I would, yes.
You will, no, you will have to. Brooke is a councilor and Norman is the mayor, so you have 2 council reps.
So is it clear that you can have somebody represent two entities then? Is that allowed?
Yeah, because that happens in other places too.
But then how do you feel it gets confusing?
I feel like I'm missing something, but
I'm still gone.
Then if Brooke is
Either
either
requirements,
not,
but
quits the council or quits the forestry board, or her term is up on the forestry board, then she's automatically taken off this list. To me, it was so simple before, but,
She would also be taken off if she quits the council.
yeah.
Right, yeah. I think just adding what Rachel said to that last page, just above where it says forestry board next to Brooke's name, add council rep and it solves what Sheldon was asking.
Okay, so, it just clicked here for me that, on the forestry board, we have Brooke Anderson and Sheldon.
Right.
And they are then representing the forestry board on the Gunderson Trust.
And Brooke is representing the council on the forestry board. And she's also representing the council on the Anderson Trust.
Okay. These are a couple of commissions that I'm not real familiar with, but is there an issue with this now, or?
No, I think there's seven members.
Yeah, there's 7 members.
Yeah.
it's the original motion we made about appointing the order to it, so.
Yes.
Okay.
If you want me to do what I did here. I had it. You have to be with this.
Clarify.
Yeah.
And Kevin, I don't recall reading it in any newspaper, but I know that somebody.
It was just recently, and in fact, I did talk to Morgan and Jolene about this, and they were pretty upset too, because they were willing to volunteer their time to the city. And the fact that people are so openly going to put down people who are willing to volunteer time to the city is problematic, because that's gonna make it harder to find people who are willing to volunteer for stuff. And I've had multiple people come to me over the last year saying they don't want to either rerun or re-volunteer or other things because there are people who are just being outright malicious about things. So if you are really serious about things getting better in terms of how people are communicating, that would be a prime example right there. Because that was just thrown out in public with absolutely no real qualification to it.
The reason I brought it up is that if there is any real conflict of interest with direct reports, are they direct reports to you?
They are, but it has nothing to do with planning and zoning. I don't benefit from planning and zoning, neither do they. Nobody benefits from planning and zoning.
Nobody
Strike that from not where I was going with that. But the point being is the fact that it doesn't influence it from that perspective.
So they're direct reports to you professionally.
Correct.
But you happen to serve on planning and zoning
Correct.
as well. So I don't think that their professional relationship should be taken into consideration. If they're residents of Tower, then
Yep, they
that's.
both meet that requirement.
And planning and zoning, its main priority is only enforcing the ordinances that have already been passed by the city. There's no power of planning and zoning, so it really, I don't know what undue influence you could have over anybody.
So I think we need to move
Okay.
on from that then.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I just, it was an issue out there, and it was already causing hard feelings. It gives you an opportunity to explain yourself here, or explain the situation, not yourself,
Which I always.
and that the council and the general public is aware of that. So if it doesn't affect it, then I'm going to entertain a motion.
We need to add a board of adjustment.
That's an as.
Okay, I was taking section by section.
No, it's by page.
By page, okay. Okay, so the zoning administrator is Linda Keith, And for the Board of Adjustment, I've added as a council rep Steve Abramson to the 2021.
Sure.
And I've made no changes to life.
So I'm fine with moving.
Okay.
Okay, there's support.
Support.
Discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? If as, if we're taking votes, if you don't hear an aye from me, or if you don't hear an A from me, then it's an aye.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's all.
ambulance department, 2019 is on the next page. And this is just a question to the, I guess it would be to the previous council. The rates here, Steve, or the ambulance director, I'm sorry, had a rate increase of $200. Was that approved at a previous council?
No, that's what I'm asking you to do right now.
Yeah, some of these should actually be separated out because, like when you're doing the budget, if you had a major change in this, how are you, but the budget was already, and it's not gonna matter, but I mean, technically, if you're gonna be trying to change these, you should be doing it ahead of time, not after the fact. I don't know. This has always been under the city reorg, and I don't understand why.
Yeah,
Because how do you budget for something that you don't know what you're gonna have?
Yeah, I would agree that
It should have
that
been.
if there's a rate increase, it should come for the council as a budget area.
Yeah, and for some reason, it's always been under this reorg stuff. I don't know why.
So is this maybe another item that we should table, or another page that we should table until that's addressed?
Steve, is there any detriment to passing over this at this point?
No. I will let you know that there's no changes per se in the rest of this, but the assistant director is taking a medical leave from assistant directing.
Okay.
So I have asked the staff at the last ambulance meeting if anybody was interested. 2 parties were interested, and they're going to probably be splitting the duties temporarily until such time as the ambulance or the assistant director can retake those duties or have to permanently resign from those duties. But I will bring that to a regular council meeting. So there's gonna be some little changes there, but until I.
So it would be Dina and Matt that would be sharing those, or is there?
Well, at this time I've had Dina and Tammy have asked. Neither one of them can fully take on all the duties of the assistant director. And Dina would have a conflict on some duties that she already does. She would have to duplicate, which would take too much of her time. So that's why there's going to be a splitting, and I have to sit down with them and split the duties between the 2 of them, so it works out between the 2. And then I can bring that to the council.
Okay, but it's a management director activity or responsibility.
Yeah, but ultimately I still have to bring it to the council.
Then, perhaps, Linda, it would make sense to have the rate increase as a separate resolution at the next council meeting.
Sure.
Not that it's opposed.
Yeah, like there's no, like I said, it's kind of weird that these for all of these are kind of in the reorg and not approved in the budget time.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, I don't know if anyone knows the reason for that, because this was the same even when I started, and I'm sure.
It's always been like that. I don't know why either.
I don't know if anyone knows. It may be a Christmas Santa story.
Could be.
Okay, moving on to the ambulance commission. The council rep that I've chosen is Rachel, thinking ambulance, medical, doctor. Made sense? Okay. So Rachel accepts to fill into that position. Moving on to emergency management, I saw Jesse Anderson is still listed, and he's kind of long gone now, correct? Is he still around? Okay. Okay.
He works for state police, but he's still here. He's just not in right police.
Yeah, his
Okay.
position wasn't tied to being a chief.
Okay. Okay, so that, I had put Dan Islands on,
Oh,
but, yeah, I have, just speak, I think,
he would have to resign
Hmm?
first. He would have to resign
Yeah.
first.
Okay, and then the fire department, the rates are the same as last year, no change. I'm assuming this is already voted on within the fire department.
Again, this is kind of weird, but, so like, again, the rates should be in the budget stuff. As far as the officers, there are, the fire department, and we have to change this in the future, they used to vote for officer positions. That is not, that, we changed that several years ago. We make recommendations to the council, but we do not vote for any officers because it is the council's responsibility to hire those positions.
Okay.
So they just.
You know, I misstated when I said voted, but I meant the term
The recommendation, nothing changed as far as the department didn't make any recommendations for change at this time.
Police commission?
I have Steve Abramson as the council rep, and you tell me if this is a conflict of interest, but given that Mark has a degree in what is it? It's corrective. Here. Mark, what is your 4-year degree? But anyway, she's got a 4-year degree in criminal justice, and so, but is that considered a conflict on the committee?
For what spot, there's only one opening.
Yeah.
There's a council rep and a resident. So rather than Steve, who's on many other commissions here, you looked on the page, I put Mark in for that.
Well, I mean, if you're going to remove someone, you might want to have a reason to do so. Otherwise, I thought we were just filling positions that were open.
I thought that these were positions were filled each year.
Mhm.
What is the term?
Ones that come out.
Yeah. You don't usually remove them unless there's cause. There is some, I don't know what you call it, with Steve being the head of EMS, that has been helpful with the police commissions, but
And if you would like to replace me, you can certainly discuss that. The police commission is meets very,
Not very often, right?
almost never, because it's, we have no authority or power. The police department belongs to Brighton, and we contract their services. So it doesn't matter what the commission says, or
This
even the
commission-
council says. I mean, there's a contract, and that's, sometimes they ask us our opinion, most of the time they don't.
all we can do is really nicely suggest.
Right, I mean, yeah, it's not a position of authority or anything at all.
You know what, Steve? I'm leaving you there.
Yeah, like I said, it's not
I can see there's a connection between ambulance, fire, and
So I'm fine with moving except for the rate issue that we'll have to look at.
Yeah.
later.
Yeah, we gotta look at that.
Yeah,
So I'm
I
fine
put
with
that
moving
in a
that.
separate item, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Is there support?
New support.
Sorry.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The wastewater board. The council rep is Brooke Anderson, and the council alternative rep, I put my name in. I've got an interest in.
You're the rep or the alternate?
Alternate.
Okay, so who's the?
So the rep,
This Brooke.
the rep is
There's two-
Brooke.
There's two, those are two separate lines.
Oh, we never had an alternate.
Yeah, I
No.
don't think we did.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so there's
So we need somebody else.
Then I've got the other council rep, and I misunderstood there. I thought it was council rep
Yeah, that's
alternate.
what I am, that's a,
Okay, so Steve Abramson as council rep together with Brooke, and Dawn as an alternate.
so you want, say that again, I'm sorry, the main two are you and Brooke, or Steve and Brooke?
Brooke and Steve,
Okay.
and I'll be the alternate. The Public Utilities Commission, I did not come up with a president to fill.
You couldn't find anybody to want. Shocker!
Yeah, we haven't met, so it's not essential until we find someone who's willing to step up on it.
And the last time we pushed the issue to the council, we didn't have a commission, so there's a gentleman that spoke about his water bill after meeting, we didn't push to that committee as we had one, but Stephanie had left that area prior to his concern came about. Not many people want to do that, and it should be someone that has at least a basic understanding of public utilities,
Or
or
billing.
the billing
or-
of it, because it's not that hard, but I think we explained it like every quarter,
Oh, yeah.
at least 10 times. So I don't,
That's gonna be a challenge to find someone.
and I
So,
don't, yeah, I
unless
don't.
anyone else wants to raise their hand right now.
Is there a taker out there?
Or are we going by this system?
I was just gonna say, there used to be an unnamed city in that area that, when they had these, if somebody committed a crime or whatever, they would wipe away the crime if they volunteered.
People have to start doing that.
I don't know if that was the right way to go, but
Short of us having anyone else, I'm fine with approving
that's too much.
Yeah.
Stephen Orland for the super page.
Support?
Support.
Further discussion?
I can put an advertisement out for that one too.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the airport commission, there's one change, Carter. I think
I think everybody's okay with resurveying.
She's like, I don't know.
Commission.
Thinking about it.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Support?
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. In the next page, employee relations. I was trying to, Kevin, you're on a lot of different committees. I was going to recommend Rachel for this one again. And is there 2 open positions or is there 1?
There is 2 on this one, there's Rachel. Rachel will be the prime and then an alternate.
Is that something that's of interest to you?
You've been on too many committees here, Rachel.
There's 3 pages, unfortunately. They only meet as needed,
Sure.
and these could probably be scheduled that night if needed.
Sure. So would I be taking Kevin's place?
Well, it'd be the open spot.
It's the open spot, and Kevin is still.
Kevin, do you want to be on employee relations? Is that-
I'm fine with staying on the ones I'm currently on. The reason why I got on employee relations in the first place is I'm one of the few people in the council with HR experience for the job. And so that's how I ended up getting, I don't want to say volunteered for it, but
Kevin, I'll leave you on, and Rachel and I
we need
will
an
go on
alternate.
employee. Is it an alternate?
there's,
over
so
here.
there's a total of 3 lines. There's 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
So you need an alternate.
So I'm happy to join.
okay.
Who are you going for an alternate?
I'll go on as an alternate. Dealt with a lot of employee relations.
3.
So this is, you're going to want somebody who's not really on the other one. So Steve Abrahamson.
Yeah, let's take Abramson.
negotiation teams or the whole council.
Yeah, that's a
That's-
change.
So I'm fine with approving this page. Yes. Rachel and Orland for employee relations and Steve for this.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Okay. The next two are,
Highly unnamed positions.
Oh, yes.
Liquor and gambling, how many of those women?
also another one you probably don't want to see.
okay, we have to approve these page though?
Yeah, we got two opens.
Yeah.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, we're done with
Oh,
that.
you did the whole thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're on that one.
All right, the liquor commission, put Kevin.
You probably don't want the same person in both, so you want at least one different, at least so it's not the same person in both. And I do have quite a few of the other ones too here. So this was originally filled by Brad, who are both counselors that are gone. I don't think it's met since I've
Has it been?
been here.
Yeah, that did one time.
One time.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know, I don't know the last time the gambling commission has met. The liquor commission met in 15 or 16 because of us sales to an underage. I think that was so one
Brooke, are you
time.
interested?
Sure.
For liquor. Just a question. Liquor, does that cover drugs at all, or is there anything?
Well, that would be illegal.
Wow.
So the liquor commission can't approve.
So it's not about that kind of stuff.
The liquor commission is like
Like liquor licenses.
Very good.
Yeah.
It's,
That'd be a drama question.
Um,
And then gambling.
So who's interested in gambling?
I can do gambling.
Okay.
I'll take a chance on that. What are the odds of being positive? I'm done, sorry.
Rachel's on that, so we
You
good.
gonna try to roll the dice again on that one?
Yeah.
I'm fine with approving this as is.
Yeah.
Okay, is there support?
Support.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carried. So the last page, the lodging tax.
That meeting is always at 10 or 10:30 on a weekday, so it's gonna have to be somebody that does. And I usually ride either with my dad and Dusty, or with Dusty, so,
will also do the summer. For lodging.
it needs quarterly.
Quarterly?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I always go, so nobody really has to go unless there's some heartburn about lodging tax, which I don't know.
Well, I actually pay lodging tax, so I'm not putting my name on.
Steve, because he's not here.
Yeah, you get thrown on all the time.
Like I said, he doesn't have to go because I go anyway, so he would only be my backup maybe more.
I'm fine with Steve on
Okay, so Steve, it'd be Kevin, Steve, and Elizabeth.
that. So that's the only item we have in there. So I'm fine with approving this page.
Support?
Yay.
Or
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. City rate and fee schedule.
There's a copy in your packet. I don't recommend any changes at this time. The Civic Center, those that are, we try to be as flexible as we can. We barely make anything off of it as it is. It's supposed to be revenue generating, but
Okay, so the only change is adding failure to file a building.
Oh,
no,
sorry.
that's just
It's
on
already
there.
there.
Yeah, I don't know why, just because it's.
I made it red
Um,
Okay, entertain a motion to accept.
So moved.
Support?
Support.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? carries. Ambulance roster changes.
Yeah, these two did not make the last, just because everything that was happening at the last meeting. I never got these to the clerk.
Oh, no, there's two, sorry.
No, there's two. Both of these have moved out of the area, and they have been, obviously been unable to make the minimum run call for the last couple of years. So, unfortunately, that is the policy for the service. I think we may look at trying to do something different in the future. As everybody knows, volunteers, it's very hard to find, and you just, everybody's running out of them. So, since we have a quarters for somewhere to stay, people to stay, we may look at expanding that response time area for, or not response time area for volunteers, but giving volunteers that are licensed the opportunity to then use that quarters. And if, like right now, if they put in 8 hours and there's no calls or anything like that, they get a run credit for that. I had reduced that from 12 hours just because it's just getting harder and harder to put in that kind of time for people. So, so that may be a policy change that we look at to be able to bring people from the outside in, as long as we have somewhere where they actually can be when they, when they're in town.
But until then, we're approving.
But until then, I have to continue to go with the policies that are in place. I don't have a choice, so.
Move to approve.
Support?
Support.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. The over, expense pay estimate 8.9.
Yeah, I'm sorry if we got stuck here. Something. I don't know if it's hitting because of my art.
Oh.
I just noticed it.
Yeah, I'll have to look. It's either my art that's knocking it out or it's probably not there.
That's,
Okay, so it's, this is a credit application for the fence work that was done at the airport. We do have problems with one post, so we are withholding the $400. It isn't much to withhold, but on a $4,200 project, 10% taken on $400.
Is there a remedy for fixing the,
I think they're gonna come back out in the spring on the
I think when the
frost.
frost is down, between the septic system, there was doing the install and fencing, what was going on there late in the year here, so
so we need to come back to fix it or
Yeah.
for $400.
straighten it out, yeah.
Okay. Fine with approving. So
Support?
Move to approve the pay order.
Support. Support.
discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8.10, 2016 airport project closeout.
There isn't anything in your packet, but what it is we did a paving project for the airport, and in order to receive our final retainage that the FAA has held from our payment reimbursements, we need to close out the project, so this is just giving SEH the permission to close it out and call it done. And I don't see any reason why not to.
Move to give permission to close it up.
Second.
Support, any support? Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And then the council continuing education budget.
It's the ski trail. The ski trail.
Oh, I
item-
checked it out, I'm sorry, yeah.
The ski trail item is an amendment to their grant. They get an annual grant of 2,000, or it's 1,725. They've asked for an increase in 7,770, or 770, whatever the heck I'm trying to say. That's on the video too. 775 to add, so they have a total of 2,500. They're offering to give us more money, so I don't think we should say that. After all, that's 777.
So we need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Okay. So moved.
Support?
Support.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? carries. Now we'll check it out. Council continuing education budget.
I am exhausted in my budget. I have 2 counselors already signed up for the new counselor training. Their mileage, their hotels, and their conference registration already puts me over the budget by $418. And I don't have yet, and I don't know for sure if Steve Abrahamson was planning on going. But then also, Orland submitted a second request to go to an additional training, which I don't have training dollars available for.
The additional training was actually the legislative session.
Yeah, but they have a copy of that in their packet, the same flyer you gave me.
And Steve said that they have 2 elected official seminars, one for newly elected and one for those returning.
Okay.
And he wasn't interested in either one, but he's very interested in joining the one in St. Paul. The
Okay, so then
legislative
there's
one.
even more.
So what is the cost?
I'll start off with what's our budget?
Yeah.
900.
So $900 for the year, and already with the leadership conference, with 2 people going, you're at what?
13, 18, 42.
Okay.
So,
And how much would the other conference be for 2 people?
I don't, guessing the mileage roughly. I don't know about lodging. I would say it's going to be a minimum of 1,000. There's 2 more people, and that's provided they don't eat. And then nobody can eat at the first one either, because I don't have any food.
And that's not included?
No, not all of your meals. I think one of them is. But I'm sure you're gonna have meals on the way and the way back, and
So this is it's a great networking experience. I know that the one for newly elected officials, both Rachel and I chose to go to the one in Brainerd, which is going to have some more smaller towns, more people that we can effectively network with. The one in St. Paul, we are really hoping to be able to attract more dollars, state dollars for projects up here. Steve has contacts from when he was mayor before. I've got ongoing contacts both in the legislature and some of the public offices there, and I want to renew those contacts. So the investment, as I see it, could bring back, especially in the legislative one, could bring back quite a rate of return.
Okay, where would this be coming out of if we're budget on it?
I'd have to pull it from reserves. I don't really have, or shorting any other education budget, but I'm not really willing to give up. I cut ours pretty tight, and Terry and I both have, she's got her last year of school yet. The only other ones are ambulance and fire, and they pretty much exhaust everything they got. The guys, they have just enough to go to their local trainings. I don't put much more.
And reserves for the year are,
50 grand.
okay, so that's what has to last us for any and all emergencies throughout,
Correct.
from January to December.
Yes.
So we would be looking at pulling 14, 18 approximately out of that.
At least.
and in the interest of cost savings, I see that the newly elected officials in Brainerd, that doesn't start until later in the morning, I believe. And so I was booked for the night before, you kind of had booked me, and I can travel same day. That's not an
Okay.
issue, so that will save some there, however much it might cost.
Okay.
I could actually do the same thing if I go to the legislative. That's the 2 days before the Brainerd, so I could arrive same day as well.
I did not make any accommodations for you. You didn't ask, so. And,
You mean in Brainerd?
yeah, you made your own conference
I thought that was included in the forum.
you have to make your, those will be entirely separate. I made Rachel's for, she asked me to enroll her in the conference, so I enrolled her in the conference and I made her a lodging accommodation. So she has both. But you did yours on
Do you
your
have the
own.
invoice that I emailed you?
Not what we know, it was for $225 for the conference. For lead conferences, you're always responsible for your own, making your own lodging. That's for Terry's and mine. And her conference is even, it's a whole week long and it's held at the place where you stay, but you still have to make your own lodging. Like $225.
So the 900 for the newly elected official conference is the $900 does not include lodging for me.
No, well, no, when I totaled it up, I assumed you were gonna have lodging, because I imagine you're gonna sleep somewhere. So I already commented that in there. And I knew what her cost was. So I just took it times 2. So for the two of you, your conference fees, your mileage, and your hotels, no meals, is $1318.42. So anything additional to that, I'm already over there, but then I'm even way more over.
Do you know how much roughly was used from the emergency funds last year?
What it was.
I earmarked 10. I would say at least, yeah, I would say probably close to all of it, if not 40,000 for sure. I know we set aside some for Parks and Rec, we set aside some for software in the clerk treasurer's office. I can't remember all the draws, but there were several. I think we also had, the city had some burden with those houses that we tore down. It was 12.5%.
One of them had asbestos.
Yeah.
So there was additional-
So there was testing
something.
there.
It was like 1,500 or something extra because the asbestos in it.
Yeah, and there's something big that I'm missing, and I can't remember what it was.
So in either case, if we're approving at least the Brainerd conference, we would have to approve an increase above the budget of 1,100. And if we're approving the other one, we have to approve the UM CARES. Which is essentially what it comes down to. But keep in mind, this is January, so we have all the way from January to December to go in terms of that 50,000.
So the total training budget, the total budget for training for the year 2019 is how much? 900.
The council.
So you're pretty much ensuring that nobody else is going to be able to go if they want to. It's a very limited
Well,
budget.
there's some guilt.
Well, I'm just putting it in perspective of there's not as much money as you might think on some things.
Yeah, probably, for future reference for several new council members, when there's going to be a turnover, there probably should be additional funds budgeted because from what all the recommendations that I've heard, these are both very valuable conferences to attend. And I'm thinking especially the legislative one because there's a real return that could be realized from that one.
And the only other way we would be able to increase the budget would be to increase the budget.
I was just going to think the same thing.
So just keep that part in mind is anything we go above is that we're asking the public to fund more. Which, as you will see when we get to the tax equalization meeting later in the year, most people don't like to see themselves paying more. So there's always that part to keep in mind, which, it's fine if we approve this increase, we just have to realize where it's coming out of and that there are trade-offs to decisions that are made. So,
And then the same token, that this isn't likely going to be an annual cost.
Right.
It's not a recurring cost, it's more of a one-time type thing. And recognizing that there's going to be other things that, it's just a one-time thing to consider. But I think with this, I agree with Orland that there's a potential return on investment with sending representation to the Capitol.
So we need a motion to increase the budget, the training budget to whatever the cost of both conferences is going to be.
And then do you want to send one person to St. Paul or two people to St. Paul? That's second.
Well, my preference is two, because both Steve and I have different contacts and different circles of influence in St. Paul.
You guys took lodging out of the Brainerd one, but not out of the St.
I'm sorry,
Paul.
Michael, what?
You guys took lodging out of the Brainerd one, but not out of the St. Paul one, right? Is that what you were suggesting? You said you could go same day to the Brainerd conference?
It's a 2-day conference,
So it's one night
so
lodging.
it would be a one night.
One night
so-
lodging.
the night before, yeah.
So we have to increase the training budget by whatever the amount of both of those together would be. I'm guessing somewhere in the 23-18 range-ish, roughly, give or take a little bit.
In total.
That's why I was asking if you were sending one person or two people, because then that would change how much. With one night lodging, it would be 1068.42. For just in India, that not counting the St. Paul at all. And that's nobody can eat.
Can I bring my own snacks?
Yeah, you're on your own time.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about that, Anthony, up here.
Well, that's just, I'm just saying, yeah,
So
no.
you're looking at about 23.86, 84 approximately, give or take a little bit.
Yeah. So want me to increase it to 2,400 even,
That would probably be about right. So the rest would have to be taken out of reserves.
and transfer 1,500. I mean.
Entertain a motion.
And then how many nights were you staying in St. Paul, just the one?
Is that a 2-day? I didn't bring that.
Yes, so 21, 22.
So
Yeah.
one night over.
One night overnight,
Okay.
would be fine.
And then, did you have a preference on where you were staying?
I don't have that,
Just as a valid one.
that letter.
The other ones are held at the facilities, so they push you toward those facilities. But
Are they more expensive or less? They usually have the rate.
for those other ones, yeah. There isn't,
Probably have to go to this address to find out, most likely.
yeah, to see if they have one booked for St. Paul. I guess it's on your own. You need to see if you have that, so then there will be parking.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve that.
Make the motion to approve the change in the budget.
Okay. Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second.
Second.
Uh,
Broken habit.
Any
Fight for the
discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay.
Everyone fights.